Continuing on with chapter 22 on page 617. No 4 to 5 items from this table. So these are things that you can do to reduce and reuse. This is not recycling, because actually what's better than recycling is reducing the amount of trash and reusing things. So buy reusable cloth bags shopping. That's an easy one. A lot of us have those at home, the reusable bags. Make double-sided photocopies. Reuse your boxes and reuse your plastics bags. I put my produce in gallon-sized Ziploc bags, but I reuse those about 5 to 7 times before they're in bad shape and I end up throwing them away. So I reuse those. Okay, you need to know what a MRF is, a material recovery facility. And basically there's a couple of ways that MRFs are used. One is where all of the trash goes onto these conveyor belts and people actually sort it by hand and sort out recyclables. So that's one way we use a MRF. Another way is like we do in Santa Clarita. So we have a recycle bin at home, and in that recycle bin you can put everything: paper, cans, glass, plastics, cereal boxes. And so what they do with that recycle bin is they take it to a MRF and people sort it by the type of recyclable it is. And that's a MRF. Okay, page 619. We have some economic ways to reduce waste that cities or states can do. So in Santa Clarita, we just started this pay-as-you-throw kind of system with some of the newer neighborhoods, not an older one. But our actual real trash cans are smaller than our recycle bins, and so that's an incentive to pay less. So if you want to pay less for your trash fee, you get a smaller bin. And if you want to throw away more, you get a larger bin. So it's an incentive for people not to buy a bunch of things that have to be thrown away, or to reduce the amount of trash packaging that they buy. In California, we also have a bottle bill, and so you can return your plastic bottles for a 5-cent refund in California. And so these are things that states do. All right, going on to page 624, there's criteria of hazardous waste. So the 4 criteria to make it hazardous waste, and it only has to match one of them. So it doesn't have to match all 4, but at least one: ignitable, catch on fire; corrosive, like acids and bases; very reactive, for noxious fumes; and toxic to human health. So if it meets any of those, it's considered hazardous waste. So we have some household hazardous waste that by law cannot go into the regular trash. You cannot throw paint away in the regular trash. You can't throw batteries away because regular batteries contain lead and rechargeable contain cadmium. You can't throw away pool chemicals. You can't throw away fluorescent bulbs because they have mercury, and so they have to be disposed of at hazardous waste places. We actually have hazardous waste drop-off locations. Just Google it, Santa Clarita hazardous waste, and the city website actually tells you where to take your hazardous waste. So for me at home, I just usually have a pile in my garage where I just collect all of it, and then maybe once or twice a year you can actually get it picked up. I usually call for a pickup, so I put all that on my curb and they come and pick it up. So I call the city first, and you can do this up to 4 times a year for free. You can call the city and say, I have a hazardous waste pickup, and they'll say, okay, we'll come by Tuesday morning, have it out in the curb labeled. And so I have it out Tuesday morning on the curb labeled as hazardous waste, and then they come and they take it away. And so the city will do that in Santa Clarita. I believe last time I checked, it was up to 4 times a year, and you can get rid of your hazardous waste pretty easily that way. You just have to make a phone call. All right, also e-waste can't go in the regular trash, and so the city will take that away too. So old cell phones, computers, TVs, all of these have heavy metals and they can't go in the trash. E-waste, the reason why e-waste can't go in the trash is because it contains all of these heavy metals: lead, mercury, chromium, cadmium, which are also in rechargeable batteries. And we don't want these in the landfill because they can, if the landfills, the liners break, all of that heavy metals can leach into aquifers. So cell phones, kind of a big deal, how many cell phones we throw away, and there's actually people that they send these old e-waste to other countries and people take the precious metals out of them. And you can see that here from the Vancouver Winter Games in Canada. They actually made the metals out of recycled e-waste. It's kind of cool. Okay, so the next thing you need to know about RCRA, it's the same laws we learned a few pages ago that requires, or that specifies how a sanitary landfill needs to be. But the same law also requires generators of hazardous waste to track their hazardous waste from cradle to grave. That means from when the hazardous waste is made all the way until the hazardous waste is disposed of. And you have to have a paper trail. And if you don't as a company, you get in big trouble. So here's another thing you need to know, and this, I guess I should have put this one in the industrial waste section of your chapter, but this is a place where a pesticide factory released a toxic gas and killed 4,000 to 8,000 people in 1984. It's one of these case studies that the AP test expects you to know, but I didn't really quite know where to put it in your book, but put it there. All right, so here is some hazardous waste things that we do. Okay, so on this page, know what a hazardous waste landfill is, know what a surface impoundment is, and know what a deep well injection is. And there's a picture of deep well injection. So make sure you know what these are and what they're and how they're used. I didn't make you sticky note the whole thing because I didn't feel like I needed you to rewrite what was in the book, but it's really important, and it's all here lined out for you what those things are and the drawbacks to each. So do make sure that you study this. In class, you'll get some handouts, one on bioremediation and one on phytoremediation. So bioremediation is using bacteria to clean up hazardous waste like oil spill, and phytoremediation is using plants. And we'll have some handouts in class for that. Okay, so let's talk about radioactive waste. So currently, we know from chapter 20 that nuclear waste from power plants is stored at each location. So we know that. But what about nuclear weapons? Well, currently nuclear weapon waste is stored at WIPP, the Waste Isolation Plant that's in New Mexico. It stores, again, radioactive waste from nuclear weapons. On this page, you also need to know what CERCLA is. CERCLA is a law that takes care of abandoned hazardous waste sites. We sometimes call CERCLA Superfund. And Brownfield is an abandoned hazardous waste site. And then Love Canal was a place in New York where a neighborhood was built on a hazardous waste site and nobody knew it until the hazardous waste started re-emerging out of the ground and sickening a bunch of people. And that is all for chapter 22.